paragraphs. Even after the paper's public editor chastised the Times for the practice known as stealth editing, the editors defended the changes because they thought the article should say more about his realistic chances. Realistic chances? Yeah, his realistic chances are going down because of folks like the New York Times, like Sydney Ember, like the Washington Post, because of their reporting, their biased reporting.
Attack headed by the DNC. They're all in league together. This is your fair and balanced media. And Darren, as you're reading about this person, remember, the New York Times had another female writer who resigned, I think, just recently because she was uncovered as illicitly supporting the Iraq War. On and on it went. And now, this week, New York Times back at it, they are supporting the prospects of the Iran war. And this is considered by right-wing idiots as a liberal rag, the New York Times.
Yeah. Chomsky
calls it the only national paper of record. That means if you want to know how many bullets were fired in 1955 in a murder in L.A., you go to the New York Times. This is the grandfather. This is the cornerstone of print media. It has been for over 100 years in the United States.
And that cornerstone is crumbling now.
It's rotting.
It is rotten.
Yep.
That's definitely for sure. In its original form, the article didn't cast enough doubt on Sanders' viability and ability to govern, in other words. So Sydney Ember came to the New York Times with a resume limited to the financial industry. She was an analyst for BlackRock, the biggest global investment management corporation and the largest investor in coal plant developers in the world.
BlackRock, Blackwater.
Her husband, Mike Beechik, is also in the investment business. He was a senior associate consultant at Bain Capital, where his father was the CEO.
Certainly not a political background in her resume.
No.
Nothing.
Ember was hired by the Times in 2014 to cover advertising and marketing for the paper's business vertical Deal Book. She started covering politics in May 2018 and immediately got the enviable assignment of covering one of the leading contenders for the 2020 Democratic nomination.
That's like when you look at the superdelegates of the Democratic Party as investment banker, CEO, investment banker. Now you look at the background credentials of this writer who's been kicking Bernie in the face for months. And look at her pedigree. Years. Look where she's from.
Ember has a multi-pronged approach to undermining Sanders. She went to great lengths to avoid calling him the front runner until he was no longer one. She attributes his political positions to attention-getting, self-serving ulterior motives, frames even his victories and the popularity of his ideas as weaknesses, cherry-picks polls, presents opinions as facts, claiming he's outflanked on the left by rising stars like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, and Beto O'Rourke, and creates false equivalency between Sanders and Donald Trump. This is all documented, folks. There's links, there's hyperlinks in this article that proves what this author is writing here. But for the sake of time and length, this piece focuses on her selection and misrepresentation of sources, which have already drawn scrutiny. Brad Johnson, a political analyst with a background in climate science, pointed out that Ember quoted a source without mentioning that she's a corporate lobbyist. Journalist Zain Gilani noted that Ember failed to disclose that another source was a senior advisor for a Hillary Clinton super PAC. Education scholar Diane Ravitch devoted a blog post to the reporter's shameful reporting on Sanders' education policy, questioning the authority of her sources. Ember's articles on Sanders, sometimes co-written with other Times reporters, often quote as neutral authorities individuals who are on the other side of a wide ideological divide with long-standing antipathies to Sanders' left socioeconomic perspective. Moreover, many of these experts are corporate lobbyists whose work in a particular area is not guided by academic, journalistic, or other professional standards, but by the economic and political interest of their clients. Ember spins the identity of her authorities, who are themselves professional spinners. And they go through like I said, this article is extremely lengthy.
But it's up. You can get it.
You can get it. Please, we implore you, if you read anything, you need to read this article. Again, it's Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. Kate Halper is the author, and it's dated June 28th. Sydney Ember's Secret Sources. Please check it out.
And even more reason, folks, I don't care where you're at. We just talked about a new station down in Houston. You have to understand the sea of media around you has been perverted. It has a corporate stink to it and a refusal to really be doing its job, which is to muckrake into the truth and speak to the face of power. Not happening. So you got two guys here in Michigan. We'll take them on. I don't get a paycheck from General Electric. I don't get a paycheck from a munitions company out in Colorado. No. These are two guys with a half a brain, and we put these two brains together, and we come up with stuff that, beyond everything else, it's accurate, it's true, and it's brave. We don't have to kowtow to a single entity except our own conscience.
Exactly.
And as you get older, and I'm older than the man across the table from me, your own conscience means a lot.
Absolutely, it does. Speaking of somebody's conscience, we have to talk about this. Somebody that we normally would not give any praise to, or very little praise, and he's right in our own backyard. There's been a lot of talk this week about the 2020 congressional race for Michigan's 3rd District. We had this story popped up Wednesday. On July 3rd, the Associated Press reported a 4th Republican challenging Representative Justin Amash for his seat. It's a name very familiar to people in the state of Michigan. Meijer, as in the grocery store folks, as in Peter Meijer, who has announced that he is running for Congress as a Republican. The 31-year-old military veteran and Grand Rapids native who served in Iraq announced his candidacy Wednesday. He says he's running to secure, this is from Wood Television, he says he's running to secure the borders, bring troops home from senseless wars, and ensure health care doesn't bankrupt families. He says voters should expect more from politicians who spend their time trashing each other online. Meijer did humanitarian aid-related work in Afghanistan and returned to Michigan to work in urban redevelopment. So again, he's the 4th Republican challenger. Also in this crowded race, is getting about as crowded as the Democrats for president. We're getting there. State Representative Lynn Affendoulis, State Representative Jim Lower, previous winner of Douchebag of the Week award because he wants to have a hunting season on sandhill cranes in Michigan. This is how much of a scumbag he is. And a guy from my neck of the woods, former Sand Lake Village President Tom Norton. I could go for days on that. But then the following day, the bombshell drops. Again, this is from Wood Television and the Associated Press. Representative Justin Amash of Michigan, the only Republican in Congress to call for impeachment proceedings against Trump, said Thursday that he is leaving the GOP because he has become disenchanted with partisan politics and, quote, frightened by what I see from it, end of quote.
And this guy supported a third party.
He announced that he was leaving the party by writing an opinion piece for the Washington Post, which was published on July 4th.
Now, we don't agree with Amash, but we both sit here and realize he's a pretty smart guy.
Yep.
He's an intelligent man, right?
Yep.
Is this a calculated move? Is he looking at the graph that I have right here in front of me that shows that after Hillary Clinton said, I don't need Bernie's supporters to win, everybody remembers that quote, right? Mm-hmm. This graph came out. It's still absolutely prescient. It shows the United States divided. Around 28% are registered Dems to vote. Mm-hmm. A little less are Republicans to vote. Mm-hmm. 46% are independents.
Yeah.
46% are independents. Is this madness from Amash, or is this brilliance? I mean, I don't like guys that jump back and forth over the fence from Democrat to liberal. You remember Ed Kettle's boy right here in town? What was his name?
Yeah.
The marijuana ranch guy.
Oh, yeah. Old Roy Schmidt.
Yeah, Roy Schmidt. I was at the
Yeah.
parade here in Kentwood yesterday for my son to see, my grandson to see the parade. Mm-hmm. And Monica Sparks came rolling by in her convertible.
I hope you told her off.
And I said, hey, wait a second. Hold. What are you today? To one of her workers. I don't think Monica can hear me. Is she a Democrat or is she a Republican? Or what'd you do? Do you have Republican banner hanging on that side of the car and Democratic banner hanging on this side of the car? She looked at me like, she didn't know whether they hit me or to...
Like I said, you're fearless, Jack.
Well, but the question
That's
is
great.
sincere.
I love you.
The question is sincere. Why wouldn't somebody wonder how you tap into that 46% that doesn't have a D or an R on their name, who's starting to realize that party politics are corrupt to the bottom?
Here's what Amash told Channel 8. Quote, well, I was hoping to set an example for people. I've been involved in party politics for a while. I believe very strongly that it's hurting our country at this point. I think people need to stand up for what's right, stand up for what they believe in, and be independent of these party loyalties and these things that really divide us.
Jeez.
End of quote.
Get him on the show.
I'm thinking about showing up at his next coffee hour, whatever he does,
sure.
and just talk to him afterwards and just say, hey, can I get some comments? You know, what brought about this change? Do you feel that this is going to affect your fundraising?
He's got to run as an independent. He's not going to become a Democrat.
No.
He's not going to be a Green Party guy.
No.
If he runs again, he's going to have to be as independent.
He's going to run as an independent. No, there's no way that he'd run as a Democrat. By the way, upon the news of this, Trump called Amash, quote, a total loser, end of quote.
Number one moniker for that pea brain to use.
More garbage out of the president's mouth. Isn't he just lovely, folks? Oh, all right. Well, we're just about out of time here. There's some stories we didn't have time to get to that we have posted on our Facebook page that you really need to look at. We have an article from Gizmodo, Del Cameron, writing this piece on July 3rd. Headline reads, the FBI says investigative files on white supremacists have inexplicably gone missing. Plus, we have updates on former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder. He has now withdrawn from a planned one-year fellowship at Harvard University after intense criticism of his appointment.
Sunlight shone on the cockroach.
He's scattered.
Can I add one thing?
And speaking of the Flint water crisis, real quick, we also have an article posted by Derek Robertson at the Michigan Advance dated June 29th. The headline is that the Michigan Attorney General's office has seized almost 20 million new documents in the Flint water investigation. You really need to read that.
That should help. And folks, if you want to run a historical parallel for your study enjoyment, go to either the BBC or Britannica and look at the Nuremberg rallies. If you want to see a parallel between the Nazi Party rallies in Nuremberg with what took place just 24 hours ago, I think you'll be shocked. I think it's going to open your eyes. So many similarities.
Exactly.
And look for my bookmobile. I'm going to be out there on the road. I have like a set of ice cream bells ringing. I'll have some song playing. And it won't be Greenwood song, I can guarantee you that.
Jack, you're going to be gone on vacation for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be joined for the next two shows by former guest Katie Steele Baroni, so make sure you check that out.
I'll bring you back a souvenir, Darren.
Please do. We'll be back next week. I'm Darren Gibson.
I'm Jack Prince.
For Kristen Cook, please support independent media and the First Amendment.
Boom.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.